Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio 8 of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. You can read his latest piece about Garrett Crochet up at ALLCITY.com. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Hello, Sarah, who's our producer.
Hi.
Hello. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet, become a CHGO diehard today. You get that lovely box that you see on the under that hat there. You get a free t-shirt of your choice, or a t-shirt of your choice. You get a sticker pack, you get a membership card, and you get access to our Discord, where you get to chat to White Sox fans alike and get to complain.
And how about this too? So, I've been doing those CHGO White Sox weekly newsletters. During the spring, they've been for everybody. But once the season starts, and that is less than 2 weeks from now.
Yes,
it's almost a week from now. A week from tomorrow.
8 days, I think.
Those will be for diehards only. So if you like what you've gotten so far from the spring, you want to keep getting them, you gotta be a diehard.
Boom. And shout out to Chad.
Yeah.
Chad's our new diehard.
All right, Chad.
One new diehard, and his name was Chad.
Welcome, Chad.
Shout out, Chad. Favorite White Sox, Chad? Bradford?
Cruder. Catcher.
Pretty sure Bradford's the only one I can think of at the moment.
That was the only one I could think of.
Yeah.
And I was hesitantly even calling him a White Sox. I was like, I know he's an A. Anyway, so shout out to Chad. We appreciate
the A's took him from the White Sox.
Yes.
It's going to be like Chad Bradford deja vu this year with Tim Hill.
But from the other side, yeah.
Yeah. He goes real down low to throw that ball.
That's true. All right. On today's show, we're going to be talking about first baseman, Andrew Vaughn. This one, I mean, you didn't have Ron Washington tell him that it's very hard to play first base. He actually knew how to play first base. I don't know if he played it well. He had a 111 OPS plus in 2022 as a left fielder, or a right fielder, actually. And then last year, a 101 OPS plus going to his natural position. So we'll talk, is this a make or break year for Andrew Vaughn? And then we have some opening day stuff. Pedro Grifol had a quote that I found interesting about opening day in these last 5 games. So we'll talk about that. And then finally, I think we'll talk a little bit maybe about Garrett Crochet. We'll see. There was an Erick Fedde quote that I found a little bit interesting from Daryl about Garrett Crochet. So maybe we'll talk about Garrett Crochet. You apparently are sick of it.
I wouldn't say I'm sick of it. I think when you do
Un poco?
What?
Every show.
Un poco?
I'm just saying when you do 5 shows a week, and you got to follow the biggest story, you got to keep following it, and that's fine. But the biggest story has been Garrett Crochet for a while now, and probably will continue to be. There's going to be plenty of Garrett Crochet talk this season. I have a feeling.
Of course, it's a big story. Look how tall he is. Yeah,
it was nice. It was like last year. Like last year when they had a poor season, but Luis Robert Jr. was very good, and it was like, guess we're talking about Robert again. Because he's the only guy who's doing anything.
Well, and apparently to Herb, he's going to have a disappointing season, so we might not even have anything to talk about.
Well, that would be nototable though.
Yeah, I guess. But like, if he has like 34 homers and he just plays 140 games, it's just like a little lackluster. Like, it's not like a bad season. He just kind of has the same season, just maybe a little less.
I guarantee people are going to be bitching.
That would suck.
Guarantee.
But that people
it
bitch.
Would suck if
people
he hits 34 home runs.
Him though, specifically, he has another All-Star type season.
God forbid.
5 WAR season. They're like, this guy, he's not going up.
Okay, but if that's the case, I don't actually care. I mean, that's not that disappointing. And if people are complaining, they just are complaining for no reason. Anyways, we're going to talk about Andrew Vaughn and not Luis Robert today.
Okay.
Is this a make or break here for Andrew Vaughn? I got some stats on fifth hitters, and I got some stats on first baseman. But this is his fourth full year in the major leagues. He's played 127, then 134, and then last year I think he got up to 150, if I'm not incorrect. Yeah, 152. So, this is his fourth year after being the third overall pick in 2019. And as I mentioned earlier, 111 OPS plus in 2022, and people were still kind of like, we need a little bit more from him. And then last year, moving to his more natural position, really wasn't able to put up what we expected from him just yet. Is this a make-or-break year for Vaughn? Could they possibly move off of Vaughn next year as their full-time first baseman? Obviously, he might not be leaving the team just yet. Maybe they don't DFA him, but is this a make-or-break year for Vaughn to be the starting first baseman for the White Sox?
I don't think so, because I don't see anybody down the pike, and I know people like Tim Elko. Calm down, guys. Like, this is only his fourth year, so they have 2 years after this year to have Andrew Vaughn for a very inexpensive price. His numbers from year 2 in 2022 to year 3 went down offensively. Like, we were thinking that him being in his natural position would be a thing where he would have his legs together. Being in more natural position defensively would automatically foster some confidence offensively, but that did not happen. I don't know if the spotlight's off of him. If the spotlight's off him, I think maybe a little bit more relaxed Andrew Vaughn at the plate will take place in 2024. But I don't think it's a make or break year, because there's no one coming in the pike. I mean, there are options out there, but they're really expensive if you're going for first baseman next year. I'm talking about Pete Alonso, and I know the White Sox are not in the Pete Alonso market for next year. So, yeah, I think Andrew is pretty safely the White Sox first baseman until that contract runs out, or unless Tim Elko just has one of the best minor league seasons this year in 2024, where they're like looking at him and it's like, okay, Andrew, you might have to move off first. But then also we have the problem, or the good problem, of Eloy Jimenez, his last year, possibly with the team option coming up next year. One of those guys can be designated hitter. The other one can be a first baseman if they go off of the Eloy version of the White Sox. But no, I think he's safe as far as that, because no one's really looking for him to be the guy. Like, when we bring up everybody on the team, we're looking at Luis, we're looking at Yohan, we're looking at Eloy to provide the offense.
You are.
Most people, and then
I think the White Sox are looking at Andrew.
You think like the fourth person, though?
Let's put it this way: I think the White Sox have in the past imagined that Andrew Vaughn could be the best hitter on the team.
And you think that's no longer the case?
I think Austin hits it right on the head. He says this is a make or break year for having any expectations for Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn doesn't have to go anywhere for the reasons that you said. He's not making much money. He's under team control. And I'm sure that there are plenty of people still in the White Sox front office and decision-making arena who look at him and say, that guy could be really, really good. That being said, we've seen Chris Getz within the last week be willing to pull the plug on long-term experiments or long-term, players who are supposed to be part of the long-term foundation of this team from the previous regime. And Andrew Vaughn is one of those guys, but certainly Michael Kopech was too.
Yep.
And Michael Kopech, they got to a point where they decided he's not going to live up to the expectations we once had of him being a top-of-the-line starting pitcher. He's going to the bullpen. And why can't, after another year, and this is not going to happen tomorrow, but a whole year of watching Andrew Vaughn, if he puts in some numbers that are still pretty meh, maybe they start thinking about alternatives, and maybe it doesn't mean next offseason they have to sign somebody to replace Andrew Vaughn, but maybe it means, all right, he's no longer that entrenched cornerstone guy. I think right now he still is as much as anybody else, and probably has a better shot of being here in 2025 than Moncada or Eloy do, right?
Yep.
Just because of the contract situations, unless one of those two guys goes off and the team option becomes, market value or better. But I think that Vaughn would have to be really bad in order to get himself out of the picture for next season. That being said, Chris Getz is showing that it might not be impossible.
My thought is, if Moncada does play well, we heard Chris Getz randomly bring up, hey, maybe we see him as a first baseman. Maybe we see him as a right fielder. Maybe we see him as a left fielder.
He did randomly bring that up.
If Vaughn's bad, why would you continue to trot him out there if Moncada's producing, getting on base, seemingly is healthy? You're not going to pay anyone. I think that Darryl put out that if their projected rotation is what? Crochet,
includes Nastrini,
Fedde, Soroka, Flexen, Nastrini. It's like $13 million, right? I know Moncada making 25 is, eye bulging, but they're going to have to pay somebody. So, hey, maybe if he's all right and, come trade deadline time, you're able to unload him for a guy that gets on base and can play first and third. Maybe Moncada's on the team. But, Ramos is coming. Montgomery's coming. They need to have spots to play. If Ramos is really good this year, if Montgomery's really good, they're going to need spots for them. And if Vaughn's just not up to snuff, I think this is absolutely a make or break year for him. Maybe he doesn't, get excluded off the team. Maybe he becomes a bench bat. Maybe they like his bat better than, who's on the Pilar right now. Yeah. Maybe his bat outweighs Pilar's defense, or Gavin. Obviously, I don't even know if Gavin will make the team, or even Mendick. Maybe they don't think having a fourth infielder is that important, and maybe they like the flexibility of Vaughn. I don't know.
Vaughn can play second, as you know.
He's
done it in the major leagues.
Hey, maybe he plays third.
He can go back to the outfield.
He's done that in the major leagues too.
He's got the arm.
The only one he hasn't played is shortstop.
So I just don't think that he's shown anything that makes him a killer. And we see in the Pedro Grifol clip that you shared, and we see the lineup for today, it was Benintendi, Moncada, Robert, Eloy, Vaughn. And everyone's like, 1 through 5 looks great. And then 6 through 9 looks horrible when you get to Fletcher, DeYoung, Maldonado, and Lopez. But I don't even know if you can say that the 5th spot, Vaughn, looks that great. That's the thing is has he even proven it yet? Because I was a huge Vaughn backer, and I've gotten very quiet after his 2023 year because he just didn't prove it. And I know he had, 25 home runs, but 21 home runs last year. People would probably be happier with a 25 number, but it's not even about the home run number. It's just he's not getting on base like we thought he would, going from 321 to 314.
He got slower, too.
He only increased his walks by 5 walks and played, about 20 more games or so, 134 to 152. He walked 31 times in 2022, only 36 times in 2023, and his strikeout number increased. So, if he becomes a guy that does control the strike zone more and is able to increase that OBP, and maybe he's competing with Andrew Benintendi for leader in on-base percentage, maybe that puts him into, all right, Vaughn is our 2025 first baseman. But if he continues to just get dominated by major league pitching and continues to strike out and really isn't able to damage the balls that are in his zone and be able to lay off those pitches outside of the zone, I think this is absolutely a year where they could move on from him if he decreases or even is just about the same.
What I want to know is what is making it. Is it those same numbers with 30 home runs instead of 21? The same type of 250 average.
I think he illustrated it. He said the on base percentage, and I think I agree with you. I mean,
just getting on base is the make it.
Well, it's
what if he hits 4 home runs? That's not going to make him that much.
No, I said if he gets to 30, 9 more home runs.
If he has a 30-30 year, but he's again only getting on base 314, that's not enough. Again, what makes Schwarber so dominant, and he's able to have a 214 average, is because he gets on base at a great amount and hits 40 bombs. Right? He's just only really kind of providing okay power-ish. I mean, still, only 51 extra base hits? That's not a ton.
No. He kind of went halfway in the 2 categories you really want to see from him, which is the on-base percentage and the home runs, right? And so, I get what you're saying. Hey, this is a guy that you assumed power was going to come. If it shows up, perfect, great. But I think the idea is that the way they talked about this kid is that they think he's going to be an amazing offensive presence, not just a guy who can hit home runs. And so, if he's going to live up to the expectations that the White Sox themselves set, they talked about him being this middle-of-the-order kind of guy. He's got to be able to do more than just clear the fence a few more times.
And they drafted him 3rd overall, and he's a first baseman. We'll get into the numbers of how he lines up with MLB first baseman and 5th hitters. Thankfully, every projected 5th hitter in Major League Baseball played last year, and the only first baseman that didn't play last year was Rhys Hoskins. So we actually have a decent amount of comparison between the MLB first basemen and 5th hitters compared to Andrew Vaughn. We'll get into those numbers in just a second. We want to let you know about our friends over at Ray CDJR First. Are you on the market for a new vehicle? If you are, we have some great news for you. Our partner over at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fox Lake is celebrating the Jeep Celebration event all month long. And do you know what that means? You'll be able to rave about their savings on a wide selection of inventory. For a limited time, lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo Altitude for $439 a month for 39 months. And if that Grand Cherokee isn't big enough for you, check out the third row and lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited L for $479 a month for 39 months. At Ray CDJR, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect, thanks to the Ray Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long and save big because Ray CDJR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. And that's not all. Just for listening, you can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at Ray CDJR/service, but you have to schedule it before April 1st. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram because they're the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or RayCDJR.com, serving the community since 1963.
At Factor, they believe that eating better is easy with their delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. You'll have over 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Also, there are more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and get after your goals. You can fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat whenever you are. Pancakes, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. No prep, no mess for meals. Factor meals are just ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, no cooking, no cleanup needed. Flexible for your schedule, and you can get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for a fast, premium options with no cooking required. And for you bachelors out there, you just want to eat, heat, and eat. We're done with the math, and they've done it. Factor is less expensive than takeout every meal, and is dietitian approved and nutritious, and of course, delicious. What you need to do right now is head on over to factormeals.com/CHGO Sox50. And use the code CHGO Sox50, that's 50, to get 50% off. That's code CHGO Sox50 at factormeals.com/CHGO Sox50 to get 50% off. Remember, that's CHGO SOX50 to get 50% off.
Thanks, Herb. And this spring training takeaway is presented by, you guessed it, our friends over at Factor Meal Kits. So today's takeaways are presented by Factor. Use code CHGO Sox50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life with any subscription at factormeals.com/CHGO Sox50. Look at that. How many times can we say CHGO Sox50?
You just said it again.
Okay, there we go. All right. So let's look at the first baseman and how Andrew Vaughn aligns. These are the takeaways that Andrew Vaughn kind of stinky when you compare him to the rest of the Major League Baseball's fifth hitters and first baseman. Out of 29 first baseman last year, the only one that's not included is Rhys Hoskins because he was injured, didn't play for the Phillies, and now will be playing with the Brewers. So we have 29 other first basemen to compare Andrew Vaughn to. Okay. Out of those 29 first basemen, where does Andrew Vaughn rank on batter run value per 100 per 100 plate appearances?
I would say 25.
No. A little higher.
21.
Close enough. 20. Andrew Vaughn's at 20, and he had a complete 0 run value per 100 plate appearances. He's not providing anything. His run value in general was just 1, so not much from, again, that position that you want a ton from for first base. What's up?
Can I ask you who was the leader in that Burv
for
first
baseman
run value?
I will guess. I'll make a guess.
Yeah, for first baseman.
Freddie Freeman.
Yes. And
Freeman.
Honestly, it was pretty close between him and Matt Olson. When you look at just complete run value, 64.3 for Freeman, Matt Olson 63.6. But then when you go per...
So Andrew's on 0?
Well, hold on. No, he's 1. Oh. So that's per 100 plate appearances.
Oh, Jesus.
You said he was 0.
So per... Okay, now I'm confusing you guys,
I know what
which
you
means
mean.
I'm confused. No, you don't know what I mean.
Yeah,
you both are confused.
Oh, God.
I am confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just re-rack this.
Oh
All right. Today's takeaway is that I need to be more simple. All right.
I was told there would be no math, Sean.
There is no math. Okay. Batter run value, he's still 20th out of 29.
Sure.
Okay. He had 1 batter run value.
Okay.
Which is not good when you have 2,000 pitches seen.
Correct.
Okay. So he had one batter run value, BRV, over 2,317 pitches seen. Frederick Freeman, 2,753 pitches seen. He had a 64.3.
Yeah.
So much better.
Much better.
Much better.
So there were 16 first basemen who put up at least 10 BRV in their season last year. 16 first basemen put that up. And, obviously, again, Vaughn had 1. Their only first basemen that were under him were Torkelson, Abreu, Gallo, Ty France, Chris Bryant, Rowdy Tellez, Josh Bell, Jake Cronenworth, and Nick Prado. So he wasn't the worst, but again, just not good enough. And if there is somebody with more potential, like a Brian Ramos, who's only, 22 years old, or will be 22 years old next year, why not give him the shot if Vaughn just isn't helping it click? He can go play for the Athletics. I could totally see an all-star appearance from Andrew Vaughn as an Oakland A. He's the only guy that's hitting
close to home.
Yeah, right. Hey, there you go. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more comfy.
I mean, he'd be briefly close to home.
Yeah.
Then they'd move to
Trade
Las
him.
Vegas, and he'd be farther from home.
He's still closer.
And then, so Freddie Freeman is 63 times greater than Andrew Vaughn's season last year.
Yes, you could say that. And he had.
But-
I think he had more doubles than Andrew Vaughn had extra base hits.
But
But he had
also-
51 extra base hits, and I think Freeman had 54 doubles alone.
I mean,
But also-
Matt Olson had 54 home runs.
Middle
pretty
of
good.
the pack was 10. So
Right.
part of that comp is to show you how amazing Freeman and Olson were, it wasn't all just negative on Vaughn, that they were that much better than everybody else or many others was
Right.
impressive for them.
I was wrong. 12, not 16, were over 10. But still, it's a expectation. I mean, Nathaniel Lowe was the guy that had the lowest. He had 10.3, and he was a part of a World Series team, right? So, I mean, you're going to need at least some pop from that position. And obviously, Freeman and Olson are near MVP candidates. But even Yandy Diaz, I mean, you talked about how well he did. He's
was
third,
awesome. Yeah.
42.4.
He won the batting title, right? I
Right.
think?
He won
Yeah.
the batting
Yeah.
title, and he was still 20 run value less than Olson and Freeman. So, I mean, it's just kind of, those guys are really, really good. Yandy Diaz is great. I guess, whatever. I mean, great and good I'm having a tough day. Let's talk a little bit about fifth spots, though, because, again, Vaughn's going to be at the fifth spot. Obviously, the first spot's a little shaky with Benintendi, but they're paying him $17 million, so he better figure it out. Vaughn, though, they could possibly...
Also, he led the team in on-base percentage.
And he led the team on base percentage, so maybe that's why they're projected to get 60.5 wins. But looking at fifth spots, there are 30 guys that played last year, so we do have a full 30. Vaughn had 1 run value. Where do you think that ranks among the 30 fifth hitters in Major League Baseball? 1 run value.
28th.
No. It's a lot higher than I expected.
17.
16.
Okay.
You've been one off
Yeah.
both times. Good job.
Killing it.
16. But the guys under him, some change of place guys. Jeff McNeil just got a bigger contract, so I don't know if he was kind of just iffy, but Jose Abreu's in there, Dansby Swanson, Michael Conforto, Joey Gallo is a change of scenery guy, and then he changed scenery again, so he might suck still. J.D. Davis also was bouncing around. Tyler O'Neill's going to be in a new place. Ramon Laureano is bad. Tim Anderson, also the worst. He's going to be the fifth hitter for the
Is he
Miami
really?
Marlins. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he's projected to be that. Negative 30.2 run value for Tim Anderson last year.
Hella bad.
Horrendous. Just sucked it up. So Vaughn was 16, one of the 16 players last year that had a positive run value that will be batting fifth for a Major League Baseball team. So I guess it's all right, but still, I think
Who was number one in that
a little
among
bit
that
more.
group?
Another Brave. It was Marcell Ozuna.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 3 of them put up at least 20 run value. Ozuna, Paredes, and Heim. And then Candelario, Muncy, Wilson Contreras, Kepler, and Gleyber Torres were all over 10. So, I mean, it's just, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, he's being outperformed by Andrew McCutchen. And I just, that's not a good sign. I know Andrew McCutchen, very talented, former MVP, but 35-year-old Andrew McCutchen, it's just not a good sight and not what you want to see from your first round pick, top 5 pick as well, who's supposed to be, touted for his hit tool. I think it was supposed to be a 70 hit tool. You want more in the batting average department. This should be a guy that's hitting like 275. Hey, Frank Manachino would tell you he should be a 300 hitter, and meaning he's a 300 hitter, his on base percentage should be a lot better than 314.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he's able to demonstrate that hit tool, no one will care that he's 6 feet tall and balls are being thrown over his head, right? Hopefully the guys that they signed to play defense are playing better defense, making better throws, and he'll look a lot better at first base. And then, he's doing his job with the bat, and, maybe 1 through 5 can actually be formidable.
I know the scout was universal, not just the White Sox scout, but this is the second time where they have an undersized guy that they say can play in the major leagues immediately with the bat. And when you get him and when they develop him, the bat is not what it was supposed to be. The first one, of course, is Nick Madrigal, and now it's Andrew Vaughn. Not a make-or-break year for me, like I said, but it's very disappointing that he hasn't developed in year 3, and year 4 is coming up pretty soon, and you read the numbers about batter run value, and he's one of the worst in the league. That's just disappointing because there's so much potential there, and how did the scout get it wrong? How was the scouting department across Major League Baseball that wrong? And how hasn't he progressed to the guy that they thought he was going to be immediately, pretty much?
Well, it just doesn't seem like he's athletic enough. I mean, we saw it in left field and right field. We see him as he hustles down to first base. I just don't think he's athletic enough.
But the guy can't hit.
Can he?
I mean,
he regressed last year. Like I get
hold
your
on,
point.
Hold on.
Like
my point being, the guy has hit. And listen, I guess I'm addressing Herb's question, which is this guy was head and shoulders the best hitter in college baseball when he was a college athlete. And again, it doesn't translate to anything necessarily, but my point being that if your critique is about his athleticism, there have been a lot of guys who aren't very good athletes who can hit the hell out of the ball in Major League Baseball. Shouldn't there not be as much relying on that when we're talking about the specific thing that he needs to do? You know what I mean? There are guys in Major League...
How does athleticism affect hitting, are you saying?
No, I'm saying there's guys in Major League Baseball who can hit the ball over the wall 30, 40 times a season, and they can't do anything but walk to first base in the history of the game. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is Herb was talking about how did the scouts get it wrong, and I'm just saying, I think that he was just less of an athlete than thought of. I mean, I get your point that maybe David Ortiz is walking to first base, but David Ortiz, even for how big he is and slow he is, he knows how to use all that weight to... knock balls out of a park.
I guess I'm just saying, because as you mentioned, that guy, if the White Sox didn't take him, he was going to go the next pick, right? The idea being that he dominated at the collegiate level, and even if those guys saw him and said, questioning the athleticism a little bit, they sure weren't questioning the hit tool. They sure weren't questioning his ability to swing the bat and to do it smartly. You know what I mean? So, right, that's a valid question. What happened between everybody raving about this guy and him having these troubles now at the major league level? And you bring up Nick Madrigal, we saw that too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who was touted as, who cares how many home runs he hits? He wasn't supposed to be that.
Correct.
But boy, he was touted for his defense and his IQ and his ability to, do all the little things right. And then he comes up to play for the White Sox and he's making bad plays in the field. He's making bad base running decisions that end up injuring himself multiple times. The idea that he didn't deliver on what he was said to be elite at. And now here you are, Andrew Vaughn, doing the same thing, not delivering on what he said to be elite at. I guess I'm saying I don't care if he's slow. I don't care if he's short. Yeah. They said we're going to get this guy because he can hit like a monster. Yes. He's not doing that either.
Well, I guess the thing though is the reason I bring up the athleticism is because he's only playing 60 games in college. It's the same thing with Crochet. Can you actually do it at a major league level? And not only is the pitching just getting better, you have to do it 150 times and over 1,600 plate appearances. He's got a 256 average, a 315 on base percentage, a 420 slugging. That's a big enough sample size to say that his weighted runs created plus, he's a 103. He's 3% better than an average hitter. So I think the scouts were just wrong. When you look at the scouting report, we're going to go to your 2080 scale. It's your favorite thing in all of baseball.
Makes no sense.
In 2021, he was scouted to have a 55 hit tool with a future of 70. So that's basically just under elite.
Right.
Right. And clearly he is not even a 50 hit tool at this point. So 2021 was just off on the scout. The game power was supposed to be average to be a little bit above average at 60. It was rated at 50, future value of 60. I think it's about average. He's not really overwhelming, a 420 slug percentage. Raw power, 60-60. It doesn't seem like that's true. It doesn't really feel like he can drive the ball to right field and really power out homers. It doesn't really feel like the ball just flies off his bat like it does with Aloy and Robert when they get the ball in the air. And then the speed and fielding were 30 and 40. I just don't think that he's as strong as we thought he was. I don't think that he is as good as maintaining the strike zone as we thought he was, and I don't think that he can make contact as good as he is. And I think he's getting kind of dominated by breaking pitches.
And I also sympathize with Andrew because of the pandemic and how he had to go through that and how he had little development from where he got drafted until he got to the major leagues. So I sympathize with him there, but now it is a year where you have to show some of those things, as you guys say, that you believe it's a break year, a make or break year, and he has to show, that development year was a long time ago, and the excuses for that year are waning off. So 2024 has to be that year where the 70 hit tool has to show up a little bit every once in a while, because whenever I'm watching him, I'm like, man, that's a good hitter. Not just he's a good power hitter. No, that's a good hitter, and he can get the job done no matter what. Like, people compare him, and he was doing a thing this year with Paul Konerko. Paul Konerko knew what he was doing at the plate. It sometimes seems like Andrew doesn't know what's going on at the plate and swinging at balls that are way above the zone and just not having an idea of where he's going to go with the ball and what the idea is in that particular at-bat. So he's not a good, refined hitter as yet, but hopefully this offseason he's worked on some things to get him there. And Paul Konerko not telling him to get off those fucking tees. Yeah. Those don't work.
And two, you bring up Vaughn with the pandemic. The highest level that he played in the minor leagues was Advanced A, and he only had a 760 OPS, 252, 349 on base, and a 411 slug. That batting average and slugging percentage looking exactly like what his current pro batting average and slug percentage looks like. And he didn't play his first games in AAA until a rehab assignment in 2022, and 286, 444, and a 1.143 slug.
That works.
So he was fine against AAA pitching. He just might be a quad A hitter. Maybe he's really good at hitting, and maybe he's just a bench bat. I don't know. Let's take a break. We got some Pedro Grifol comments that you pointed out, Herb. So we'll get to those in just a second. Want to let you know about our friends over at Circa and CD1. It's going to be a fun time tomorrow out in Waukegan. Hope you guys join us. It should be a fun time over at 4011 Fountain Place. I believe that is where it's located up in Waukegan. It should be a blast. We got a bear show coming up first, I believe, at 10, and then we got a hoop show coming up at 11 for the first day of college basketball.
Yeah, Sarah acts like that's a mistake. Sarah's like, yeah, look, here's selfie
the gremlins
time.
That are on this computer truly just don't want me to succeed in this world.
Sure, Sarah. You just want people to see you.
Yep.
Stop
Sarah's
fronting.
angling for a spot in one of our chairs.
Stop fronting.
But it should be a fun time out in Waukegan tomorrow, so come out and join us. And we will be talking about the college basketball tournament coming up. If you like UConn, they're at 5-1 over at Circa. Purdue 7-1, Houston 7-1, Arizona 8.5-1, Tennessee 11-1, Duke 17-1. My team, Auburn 18-1. If you like to ride with me, I'm taking Chuck's team. I'm taking the Auburn Tigers.
Hey, and it's a brick and mortar spot.
That's true.
So you can bet on Illinois
and
to lose.
Guess what? You could also bet on Northwestern, and I think that game's going to be coming up while we're there, too. I think that's one of the first games. That might be on Friday.
It's one of the few places in Illinois you can bet.
It's true.
On the Illini.
So come out to Waukegan and also download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. At circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events like we have in Waukegan tomorrow, watch parties and tailgates. If someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Text GMB 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com. And we want to let you know about our friends over at CD1 Price Cleaners. What makes CD1 Price Cleaners different than all other cleaners that you used before is that customers save over 30% on their dry cleaning bill by switching to CD1 Price Cleaners. They have a simple and transparent service where you pay one price, the same low price for any garments. Other cleaners charge a different price for every garment type. Plus, they have upcharges and may have you pay a different price each time you visit. At CD1 Price Cleaners, you pay the one same low price, and they have a fast turnaround where other cleaners may take 2 to 4 days to have your clean garments ready. CD1 Price Cleaners has yours ready the same or next day, and you'll get a text alert when your garments are ready. And they also have a wide variety of service like dry cleaning. They can wash and fold your laundry. They can wash those pesky blankets and comforters. They can also tailor and alter your clothing and clean your leather if you have some cool leather jackets maybe, or an area rug. So visit chgo.cdone.com. The link is in the description. And once you're there, you can pick from an in-store coupon or online pickup and delivery coupon options. So check out our friends over at chgo.cdone.com. The link is in the description. Thank you to our friends over at CD1 Price Cleaners. All right, so Sarah, do we have that video that was in Slack? All right, let's hear from Pedro Grifol. I know everyone loves to hear from Pedro Grifol, but you pointed out this comment, and we just kind of have the final for their spring training game. So let's hear from Pedro Grifol because I think it's precedent with the result.
This is that video the Sox tweeted out. Their hype video.
It's credited in the graphic, but this is from the White Sox at White Sox, if you want to follow them on Twitter, if you ever heard of them. But here's the video.
So that takes us to March 19th. After March 19th, we have 5 games left. Those last 5 games, I want to play full speed. Starter, bullpens, matchups, signs, the whole thing.
The whole thing. And today, they're 5 days out, all right? So this is the day. This is the day where they prove that they're going to play fast, like Pedro Grifol wants them. They're going to be disciplined, and they are going to kick your ass. They lost 3-1 to the Reds.
They got 10 hits, though.
They got 10 hits. How many walks did they have, Herb? 1.
I mean, themselves, or how many did they give up?
No, they
got one walk.
So they were on base 11 times.
Ortega.
Andrew Vaughn clearly saw the headline of this podcast. He drove in the only run. He doubled to left. So he's pulling the ball with authority.
He's doing what you are asking him to do.
Hey, I'm happy with it. But the White Sox lose 3-1. Did you find it interesting that Pedro's kind of setting the precedence here? We saw the quote-unquote true lineup. Moncada wasn't in there, but he was pulled and scratched due to illness, so hopefully he'll be ready for opening day. But do you like Pedro kind of setting that course, that tone? So,
yeah, I mean, if you were to watch that whole video, I believe those comments were taken very early in spring training. They might have even been, judging by the video, it might have only been coaches in the room, so it might have even been before, players got there. So he was obviously laying things out the way he wanted to do it, and here it is coming to fruition. So yeah, it's not surprising. I think most teams would say this is probably when you want to be ready to go, ready for game action, because it's coming in a week. And you're seeing the White Sox do it now. Obviously we didn't watch the game, but if they're doing the kind of things that he wants to see or not, I'm not sure. But we obviously can start judging that next week when the games start counting, but I'm sure Pedro has been judging it all spring and is especially judging it here in the final few days of spring training.
I mean, I've been saying it all spring. You play like you practice, and if these are the last practice games, he's going to try to ramp the guys up so by the 28th, they're hitting the ground running. I like it. I like what Pedro's saying. It's a different thing if the actual execution comes through, but they only lost 3-1 today, gave up only 3 hits to the Reds. So if this is the type of games you're going to have, I'm fine with it. And as Alex says, how do you get the base loaded with no outs? White Sox, they did that a lot last year. But this is what you should be doing. You should be trying to have a better, a regular lineup going out there, and then having more pitchers pitch longer and deeper into situations, having your coaches get in game shape and game ready. So you're not getting in the first week of baseball. I know it's a different sport, but remember Matt Nagy used to just rest in that last game and chill all his players, and in the first couple weeks he would use those weeks as kind of ramping up for the regular season. It's no, these are regular season games. We're losing these games because you're not having your players properly ready for when the bell rings. And so I'm good for Pedro actually setting the standard and setting the tone 5 days before or 5 games before the regular season really starts.
They out-hit the Reds 10-3 today and lost 3-1.
Yes.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Very
hard. It helps when 2 of your hits are homers. So that drives in 2 runs right there. And then also they did give up 5 walks. So they had 8 base runners. It's not like they were, clean and perfect.
Yeah. And also I saw some throwing issues from from the backstop.
Maldonado got credited with an error. So it's not like they played the cleanest baseball, and I don't think that there was a stolen base. So I don't know how fast they truly were. And left on base, I don't know if this is completely correct, but they had 11 runners left on base, and they were 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, which is not good.
Correct.
Thank you for finishing that. But what is good and what is mostly interesting, I think, from this finish is Michael Soroka. 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run, not credited with an error or with an earned run. I think that was probably on the De La Cruz stolen base, which was a Maldonado throwing error. 1 walk, 5 Ks. So he's been dominant, 1.38 ERA in spring training. It looks like he's going to be the second pitcher for the White Sox.
That's what we saw from my colleagues who are down there in Arizona. The first series, we have our probable pitchers in order. Obviously, Erick, who we've been talking about for several days now, is going to start on opening day on next Thursday. Then an off day Friday. Saturday will be Michael Soroka. Sunday will be Erick Fedde.
Yeah, and through the spring, I think he struck out 17 guys and has only got like 5 walks. So it's very impressive what he's doing in spring training, but it's, of course, only spring training. And so these stats won't transfer over. I hope his feeling and his confidence will transfer over, though, because 17 strikeouts to 4 or 5 walks is a hell of a ratio. Keep on going with that.
And you told me you learned his nickname?
Yeah, it's weird. Maple Maddox.
Because he's Canadian.
Because he's Canadian, yes.
And Maddox was a famously good pitcher. Also for the Braves.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the
Maple Maddox.
That's a lot to live up to.
Apparently, he's also nicknamed Rock.
That's not as fun.
R-O-C-K?
R-O-C-K.
Well, just because he's got R-O-K in his name,
Okay.
probably, yeah.
R-O-C-K in the Canadian. No, it didn't work.
Yeah, I don't like that.
R-O-C-K in the C-A-N-A-D-A.
Hey.
But this could be a gem for the Sox. I know that he doesn't have a year of control after this. I think it's his last year of control. But 3.32 career ERA. He's currently shoving, like you said, 17 strikeouts to 5 walks, a 1.38 ERA. He's the second pitcher. Is that any inkling? Like, I don't know if it's a bad sign for Fedde, if Fedde's just kind of more... Fedde talked about pitching to contact. Like, maybe Fedde will just be more, like, less dominant in a way. I think Fedde talked about the reason why Crochet is the opening day starter is because he's got the best stuff. Does this mean in a way that Soroka might have the second best stuff? Less about Fedde being poor, but just more like, do you think this is an indication of stuff?
I don't think so. And I would say that on a team like this one, I don't really think you need to read too much into how they're lining up out of the gate. You know what I mean? Like, we still don't know who the fifth guy's even going to be. I think that like Chris Getz used this phrase the other day when he talked after the Dylan Cease trade, and he said, you know, when we were asking about how the roster might play out, and he said people have this obsession with the opening day roster, right? And then it can just change the next day. So I think that the way the order in which they're stacked up means less on March 28th than it would on October 1st. I don't know if that's the actual first day of the playoffs, but you know what I mean. You know, like those are the games you have to win. Those games or your season is over. And so you get the chance to set your rotation in a way that gives you the best chance to avoid your season being over. I'm not trying to argue that April games don't count as much, but you got 162 of them in front of you, and like all those guys are going to pitch anyway. So I don't think we need to be I don't think we need to read too much into, hey, this is how they're stacking up. Maybe they had the opportunity to, like they said, they were rewarding Crochet, reward Soroka, who's been fantastic in spring training, as you just read. Maybe it is a little just tip of the cap, like, hey, man, you had a fantastic spring. You're going to go ahead and pitch the second game. Congrats, keep it going, kind of thing. But I don't think it has any reason. I don't think it produces any reason for anybody to be concerned about Erick Fedde, if that's what you're asking.
And I wasn't. Yeah. It was more props to Soroka, because what Fedde's comment was that coming into camp, it was Cease with no ifs, ands, or buts. I knew it was up for grabs after the trade, but it's easy to say now without Cease that Crochet has the best stuff on the team. So it's less about Fedde being bad, but it's just more, has Soroka shown dominant stuff where Fedde has shown maybe just competent starting pitcher, where Soroka with a career 3.32 ERA, it's less about the talent, it's more about the injuries. If he's healthy, could this be a true diamond in the rough for them in this trade?
It absolutely could be.
Yeah.
And to get him and 4 other players, including your everyday second baseman, for a middle reliever or a later game reliever, but, that's why they made that trade, was because they could turn one guy into 5. And now, who knows? If Michael Soroka's really good in his last year of club control, maybe they can turn Michael Soroka into multiple guys several months from now.
And it was funny in our Discord today, and you can become a CHGO diehard and become our Discord member. They shared a Aaron Bummer video where, of course, PFPs are his bugaboo, and he threw a ball into right field, and that runner came around to score the Little League home run because Aaron Bummer's still Aaron Bummer. He's still got the yips. But I also looked up a stat, and to answer your question about Soroka over Fedde, today in his 4 innings he threw only 28 pitches. Like, I looked at the stats, and then I went back to the numbers, and I saw it, and I counted it out. 28 pitches. It says only 23 strikes, or 23 to 28 strikes, and that's pretty damn good, especially if you're coming after.
He had a lot of strikeouts, too.
Yeah, and it was like the first 2 batters, it was like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3.
I love you, and I'm going to stop. Spring training stats are just dog shit.
I understand.
But I don't think they're right.
I went back and counted the actual at-bats.
On TV?
No, the at-bats, at-bat where it says 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strikes.
What I'm saying is I think those are incorrect.
Okay.
Because he did not have 2 back-to-back strikeouts where they were 3 pitches and then the next 2 guys swung on the first pitch. Like, I just, that's not how baseball works. Like, that's.
Is it not?
That's Reds baseball, Sean.
So every single strikeout that he had was a strike looking. I don't think that it's like every strikeout is 3 pitches. Every flyout is 1 pitch. Like, I don't think if it's
they're putting in the result and then it's populating after the fact.
Right. They're just putting in the result that it's a strikeout. Like, they're not. I don't think that the actual pitch by pitch is detailed, because this is what I had issues with Kopech. That's why I wanted to go through and see exactly how many pitches he was throwing, because with Crochet we had no idea. It looked like Crochet threw 11 pitches against the Dodgers in that first one where he had Ohtani, but he threw like 28. So it's just an issue with MLB and MLB being bad.
Okay, because, I mean, that's just my reading, but I could be wrong. So, but he's efficient, though, getting through those 4 innings where the Reds, it looked like, are not seeing him right. He gave up that only 1 hit, like you said, the error from and the stolen base by Ellie De La Cruz there, and then that was just scored on a ground ball. He's pretty decent. And so if you're following Crochet, you probably want somebody you think is a better pitcher.
And I mean, a stat that does point to efficiency is the fact that he just didn't have a lot of guys on base in 4 innings.
Didn't walk anybody, didn't hit anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think he's been efficient, not to bust that, but just to be like as clear as possible. I don't think that's right. And also, it'd be nice if just Major League Baseball broadcasted all the spring training games, or maybe had StatCast and detailed stats. Like, it'd be great.
They were on radio.
Okay.
Chuck did the play-by-play today.
Maybe Chuck took detailed notes of each pitch. Let's take a break and let you know about our friends over at Line & Kugel and our great event that we have coming up on opening day, and then we'll talk a little bit about the opening day roster. But, Vinny, you want to let people know about Wisconsin Innovation?
Boy, do I, because I love the results of Wisconsin Innovation. They've got a lot of smart cookies up there in the Badger State, and sometimes
they produced Mario and Kevin.
Exactly.
Right. I'm just trying to hype up our coworker.
Sometimes they'll go in a lab and they'll crank out a cheese curd. They'll go in the lab and they'll crank out an indoor water park. And sometimes they'll go in the lab and they'll crank out delicious Line & Kugel's beer. Herb's enjoying a Berry Weiss. I'm enjoying a Sunset Wheat today. And, of course, if you look in our little bucket there, you'll see that it is shandy season, folks. It might as well – I know the first day of spring was yesterday, but it might as well be the first day of summer, because you can go ahead and get yourself a summer shandy. I was at the Jewels earlier today. They got all the cases out. It's a wonderful time to load up on summer shandy for a lakeside picnic, for a rate-side tailgate.
See what you did there.
Or for a Wisconsin canoe trip.
There you go.
I couldn't complete the trifecta there, but
Summerfest.
Yeah, for Summerfest. But if you aren't feeling the summer shandy, and who isn't, because everyone does, you can get yourself one of the things that Herb and I are drinking, or go get a honey Weiss made with real Wisconsin honey. Even the bees are innovative up there in Wisconsin. Or you could drive up to Wisconsin and get yourself a Liney's Original. But it's all good, and here's what I'll tell you. Flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugel's, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leinie.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. They'll even bring it to your house in a truck, it sounds like. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO, or pick up Leinenkugel's pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugel's, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. And next Thursday is opening day at Guaranteed Rate Field.
To keep the Leinie's love rolling, here's Herb with an ad read.
Indeed. And at Ballpark Pub, which is 514 West Pershing, out there on 39th Street, which is Pershing, they're interchangeable. If you're parking in that 37th Street lot, park there and just walk on over to Ballpark Pub and enjoy us doing a live broadcast at noon until 1-ish, 3-ish, whatever. We're going to finish the show, Sean. We're doing a pregame show with Tariq Skubal as Tariq Skubal is going against our guy Garrett Crochet. So lefties will be plentiful. Sean's a lefty. Come on out and join us for the live broadcast at Ballpark Pub, 514 West Pershing. They have some of the best food as far as any bar in Chicago. They've been featured on Chicago's Best, so you know it's good. I just tried some of the delicious wings out there. Try it out. They have brisket chili that they rave about, and the space is just old school. It's like if you've been to all the ballparks or all the bars around Guaranteed Rate Field, sometimes you get that rock grunge feel. No, this is old school South Side. This is what the South Side is all about. So join Sean and I at noon, Ballpark Pub. We'll start at noon, so get there earlier, get your parking situation together, and you got to go to allchgo.com to RSVP. It is free to RSVP, but we need to know how many people are coming because we can give you some parking passes if you need to. We need to get you set up if you're going to come and join us. And you don't want to give Jerry money, but you also want to have the opening day atmosphere.
You want to be a Sox fan still?
Join us at Ballpark Pub, and then, do whatever you want to. You watch the game from Ballpark Pub because they have TVs there. Wi-Fi is plentiful. So Ballpark Pub next Thursday, the 28th. Sean and I, 12 to 1, and then we'll be staying around talking to you guys. And we have great giveaways. There's Leinenkugel specials that day, swag from the actual bar and Ballpark Pubs. So come on out and join us.
Presented by
Leinenkugels.
Hell yeah. All right. Herb.
Hello.
Again, not to harp on this too long. You're just this is from Daryl. He threw 65 pitches in 4 innings.
Okay.
Because you even look at Yosemar Cousins.
I think it was
Cousine.
I think it was Jake
Cousine?
Cousins.
No.
Today,
was it Jake
Yeah,
Cousins?
Cousine was sent down a while
Okay,
back.
that's what I thought. But they just said two cousins.
I think Jake
Or is it
Cousins.
Cousine
Cousin.
and cousins, plural.
All right. Well, Jake Cousins apparently.
Jake Kissin Cousins,
Ew.
like the Elvis movie.
No. But his two strikeouts were also 1-2-3, 1-2-3. So I just think that's off. So Soroka threw 65 pitches in 4 innings, according to Daryl Van Schouwen. Also had 10 to 12 more in the pen. He said, when everything is loose and clean, front through release, everything seems to move a ton. It goes where I want and is usually up a tick too. And he also, according to Eno Saris, added a 4-seamer. So it's going to be interesting to see what his pitch mix truly looks like, how much he relies on that straight 4-seamer. It seems like he can control that pitch well. So it seems like we'll see a lot of high fastballs from 4-seam fastballs from Mike Soroka in the zone, and then he'll be able to use that sinker low in the zone and get some ground outs. And hey, he's been able to strike out a ton. He had 5 in 4 innings today, so I'm excited to see. Huh?
65 is not that much through 4 innings.
No, it's not. It's still efficient, absolutely.
I mean, I saw Yu Darvish throw 72 in 3 1/3 today.
Oh, the Dodgers are tougher than the spring training lineup.
Now, Herb,
Reds,
did you?
I
Herb,
get your point.
Did you? So that game started at what? Like
5 o'clock.
So you did not stay up late. You woke up early
I woke up early.
Gotcha.
Yes. My Padres lost.
to
you
watch
regret it?
watch Jake Cronenworth's glove fall apart.
I mean, that man has fallen off the table. Golly. Just moving to first base. That man can't hit anymore, and he's terrible a fielder.
I mean, this one wasn't his fault.
Does he switch his glove maker? Does he go to a completely different glove tomorrow? Because the glove broke, right? Like, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
Does he trust that glove anymore? Does he?
I mean, he might go to a different physical glove. You're saying would he dump
company?
Rawlings for Wilson or
Right,
something
right.
like that? I don't know.
Is that a make or break thing? I don't know. The final thing I want to throw out here, this is also from Daryl, from Pedro, on the opening day roster. Normally at this time your team is set. Ours is not yet. That's a credit to our scouts. Gene Waston Chris Getz, the front office, they put together a group of players this year that are flat out competing. There's some decisions to be made. Vinny, I know you mentioned yesterday in our chat, starting pitcher 5, closer, and backup infielder still have some competition. I saw that Braden Shoemake is taking grounders and apparently is still in competition to make the opening day roster.
Good for him, because I believe they said he was supposed to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. So good for him that he's feeling better.
But how much more competition do we see? It seems like catchers closed off, Maldonado and Stassi. It seems like
it is. Corey Lee went down to AAA today.
And he was performing well, but hey,
he
was only 26 at-bats compared to the 50 that we saw him get 5 hits in. First base, Andrew Vaughn. Does Sheets make it?
He might. He's hitting really, really well. And I haven't looked at Mike Moustakas' stats.
He had a hit today.
What'd you say?
Moose had a double today.
Yeah.
But Gavin Sheets has had a really nice spring, and all the quotes I've seen from him, too, have been talking about how things are feeling different for him, too, which might be a lot more important to the decision makers than the actual results, as we talk about all the time. So I wouldn't close the door on Gavin Sheets quite yet. That being said, we've talked about the roster reality. He can just go down to the minors and come back anytime they want, whereas Mike Moustakas, they might value the clubhouse presence enough to give him a spot early and say, if you're not doing it for us in a month, we'll just call Gavin Sheets back up.
Is there much competition that we see, though? Like, is it just really Sheets versus Moustakas, Mendick versus Shoemake, seemingly?
Remillard is still there, too.
Remillard's still there. And then starting 5, I know that Daryl threw out the Nastrini idea today on Twitter, but, like, the closer they get to opening day, it doesn't seem like they're going to sign a free agent. Like, we're here at 6 p.m., and we're about to be a week away from opening day.
I think it would be down to Nastrini or just some of the non-roster guys they've got there, as we've talked about before, whether that's Keller, Kuhl, Woodford, who knows. And, again, maybe that's a situation where it's like they need him for 3 weeks, and then Nastrini comes up. Who knows. But, listen.
At that point, just start the damn kid.
That quote from Pedro is pretty manager-speaky to me. It's very much in line with everything he said this spring about how much he's loving competition and all of that. Of course, how realistic is that in a lot of scenarios? I think he is in a situation with this team where there's probably more competition than normal because this team's not expected to be very good, right? It's not like they have all these spots locked in before they even get to camp because they're not expecting to be competing for a championship of any kind. So I think that there's a lot there that is just like, he's very happy with the competition. That's great. But come on, the front office has to know who they want at this point, I would imagine. That being said, there's still plenty that we on the outside don't know. And, that bullpen is one of them. Who's going to be throughout that bullpen? We can count maybe four or 5 spots, but that's only half of it. So we'll see what happens. But, there are some spots unresolved from our standpoint. I don't know how unresolved they are from the team standpoint.
I mean, theoretically, these are the last 5 games. We should know something before the end of the week, right?
We know that.
Well, you'll know something before opening day.
Knable's not going to make the team, right?
He was sent to minor league camp today, Corey Knable, but he was behind schedule. I wouldn't necessarily have put him in the same group as the guys who've been pitching the whole time, like Jesse Chavez, Brian Shaw, even Dominic Leone has been pitching since the start of camp. And
Justin Anderson.
Justin Anderson's another one. And Knable had some I don't even know if setback is the right word. He was behind schedule, we'll put it that way.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough team to be having competition for, but we'll see how all of those spots play out. Does seem a little bit manager-speaky, though. Most importantly, make sure you're RSVPing to our event on opening day over at Ballpark Pub. Herb did the work for you. He went out and checked it out, made sure it was up to Herb standards.
Yes.
And it is. So we're going to have a fun time.
Pass the Herb test.
It did.
Pass the Herb test. Follow Herb on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. I'm Sean Anderson. You can find me at Sean_W_Anderson. We talked about Andrew Vaughn today. If we can get 25 likes, we're at 20 right now. 5 more likes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.